I just watched a half, maybe a third of Mark Shaw's address on the subject of Dorothy Kell Gallon, who was murdered in 1965 while hot on the trail of some persuasive information about the Kennedy assassination. A man she knew who befriended her, advocated for her son. Um, she attended the Jack Ruby trial. He made a mockery of the FBI and the press. She was a star of a television show called What's My Line. As watchers of my videos, if there are any, know or will discover if you go into them. I have identified a snuff film ring from Hollywood, working with pornographers, sworn pornographers, through Jack Ruby's joint in an Axis revenge plan. And Reagan is was clearly involved. And I've been tortured by a syndicate from the Pitt administration run by Peter Gabriel and Michael Reagan, who planted the Texas school book on me for Yoko Ono's crowd in Pittsburgh, a place called Pitt, for Pit of Hell, because they're playing on the idea of compromat, which is the Russian word for sexual disgrace. You know the old stories of wink, wink, Kennedy and Marilyn Monroe. That's compromat. Monroe, he's half a man, so you get Roe versus Henry Wade, Roe versus Wade. Wade framed Oswald. Mark Shaw appears to believe Carlos Marcella organized the assassination, which is a lie. He may have been involved. Sinatra was more likely the coordinator. Because Oswald was sort of a body snatched individual. Someone like that can only be dreamed up through a conspiracy operated by the CIA with the KGB, the sort of crowd you would get from Alan Dulles and Yuri Andropov working together in cahooters, manipulating a bird-brained individual who was indexed to Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. We know from Carbonell's laboratories and his functionary Andrea Swimmer Ferrono's Neva Corporation blackmail harvest of the ex-amples, as Burston called them, for the Raven intelligence scene of persona being subjected to successive degradations of the X mode, but as Greg Carl put it. In other words, the compromat pussyball register that Paul McCartney came harvesting. Um, the carrot tape is central to the impingements from the Neva Corporation when they gassed, tortured me, and left me semi-conscious as a child. So it's very pregnant, if you will, ha ha ha, pregnant, ha ha, that Dorothy Kilgallen came from What's My Line, because they had impinged what Melons would call filing that. He had a cartoon on his door near Carbonell. Neurotransmitters take a holiday with a newspaper over a man's snoozing face. What's my line? They implanted with the neuroplasm the carrot tape for Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, who Genie came swinging for with a tart from Milan, lobbing her tomato at Jim McQueen. This 50s gargoyle scene from Westmoreland County, Mazeroski, Mel Gibson's crowd, the Croquet, Ragusa Corona, as we call Yoko Ono, all were avenging Hitler through the criminal psychology of compromat. Use, what they call hair, the pubic hair of evidence of disloyalty to the faith, whatever faith that might be. So when we see fascism run amok, you can't expect consistency. Hollywood is a legerdemain of a squawking box. It's who gets paid. You know, they say, like Spike Lee is a good example of this. You know, everybody knows Spike Lee will go running to the mommy at the switchboard of the Licky Chops circuit courts in municipal New Newark. Anytime somebody says a bad word about him, and he'll say it's because he's black. But when he wants to, he puts every word that you can't say in. He's even contributed his own made up hars. That's Hollywood's dialectical talking box. Who gets paid to say what nobody else is allowed to say? But there is something that comes through which is very interesting in the photographs that Mark Shaw presents, which is that the hairdressers who were close to Dewey Kilgallen come over as actually believable people in the way that Kennedy was a believable man. And that's the difference between stardust and believability. The people around Melvin Belly in those pictures are obviously laughing about Kennedy being killed, having a party at Jack Ruby's trial. But the way that people can summon tears for Hollywood can genuinely be deceptive. I mean, these people stop at nothing. They put a Milanese girl in my bed professing love for me. I mean, they do anything. The saccharine insincerity of these murder monsters is just beyond the pale. And then they'd say with a straight face, respect. You know, so what I'm saying is don't let anybody compare JFK to Reagan or Reagan to JFK because one is a believable person, one is a saccharine, body snatched fake lying through the teeth. A, B, C, D, E, or F.